With every single team's spring practices coming to a close and the transfer portal being mostly over, let's get into my top 25 heading into the summer before the season starts. But first, here are teams that I considered putting in my top 25, but ultimately I decided against it. I really wanted to put NC State, USC, and Kansas in there. I thought they were all deserving, but they just didn't quite make my cut. I think West Virginia and Florida are going to be good teams. Florida will have a bad record, but they're going to be a good football team overall, and West Virginia is going to be near the top of the Big 12 this year. But let's start at the bottom of the top 25 and work our way all the way to the top. The team that I'm most excited about in these bottom 5 teams is Auburn. Hugh Freeze has been absolutely killing not only high school recruiting but also the transfer portal, and Auburn is in a unique situation to make a real ruckus in the SEC. With Colorado and Washington, I'm a little bit in cautious optimism. I don't quite know exactly how both those teams are going to shake out this year, mainly from the transfer portal, but I'm curious to see how they do. And with Iowa and Clemson, I'm really nervous about both of their offenses. If Cade McNamara can be anything for Iowa at all, Iowa could potentially be a playoff team this year. And the ACC will be top-heavy, but if Cade Klubnik and Garrett Riley can figure out Clemson's offense, Clemson could also make a run for the playoffs and be in that top 4 seed. Because of the way the playoffs work, remember. Alright, moving on from 16 to 20. There is so much variety in this category here, it's almost insane. Miami could be the team to win the ACC this year. They are looking a lot like Florida State was going into the season, and Cam Ward is that dude. I think Kansas State is going to be a reliable team this year. Probably nothing great, but a very good team. Oklahoma, I think, will also be a good team, but I think their schedule is so difficult that they're only going to win 7 or 8 games this year. And I'm super curious to see how Tennessee and Arizona both do. Moving on, this is where things start to get interesting. I am so excited to see what Garrett Nussmeier and LSU are going to do this year. They are absolutely a contender to win the SEC. I just don't know if they're going to do it. If you look at Notre Dame's schedule, they should go 11-1 and be in the college football playoffs this year. And Florida State with DJU is going to be special. Oklahoma State is going to be a very veteran team in the Big 12, and they could make a run for the playoff. And Louisville has a weak schedule, yet again, and they're probably going to be at the top of the ACC. Jumping inside the top 10, let's get into it. If Cam Rising can stay healthy, Utah's going to win the Big 12, and they're going to be in the college football playoff. Penn State has a chance. I'm not going to say they're going to, but they have a chance to go to the Big 10 championship this year. They avoid playing 2 of these top 10 Big 10 teams in Michigan and Oregon, and that's going to be huge for their record. Alabama drops a little bit without Nick Saban, but I think they stay ahead of Missouri and Michigan. Missouri has probably the easiest schedule out of all the top-heavy SEC teams, and that's going to be huge for their playoff chances. On the flip side, Michigan has one of the hardest schedules in the country, though. Finally, I think this is almost everybody's consensus top 5. It just depends on the order that you want to put these teams in. If you've watched my videos over the past few seasons, you know that one of the biggest things that I look for is a complementary football team. And there's going to be no team that plays more complementary football this year than Ohio State. They are my #1 team. I really thought about putting Texas #1 because of Quinn Ewers and that offensive line, but I just think Ohio State has a slight edge on them right now. The one thing that made me put Georgia and Oregon behind Ohio State and Texas was how many players that they lost to the NFL draft this year. But the margin between these 4 teams is like neck and neck. It is almost indescribable how close these teams are. Let me know in the comments what you would change about this top 25, and if you want me to talk about any single team's position, I'd be happy to go over why I'd put them higher or lower than other teams.